Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. It is a cold Tuesday. And no, there's nothing here to look at yet. We're getting there. We're getting there. Thank you for joining me tonight for another Learning Live. This is a Learning Live that I always find quite fun because I think all crafters are passionate about getting organized. The trick is knowing how to get organized. We always joke at the store that there are actually 3 different hobbies when it comes to paper crafting. There is, of course, the actual crafting and creating with your supplies. There is the purchasing of supplies, which I think some people do consider a separate hobby. And then the third is actually organizing your supplies. Now, before I get too far, let me reassure you that organizing and getting your storage sorted out, getting your room tidied up, or your space or your dining room or whatever room it is a work in progress. It is a constant work in progress. As Matt, who is over there manning the keyboard and all the comments, can definitely attest to that. I've been working on my craft room for probably close to 2 years now, and it is still a work in progress. So don't worry. There's lots of flexibility, there's lots of things, and do remember that doesn't have to be permanent. Try something, live with it for a little while, and if you then end up having to reorganize it, then so be it. So thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. As you are watching me go through, I've got a lot of stuff. I could talk about organizing for probably 3 days. But if you have burning questions, if you have a real storage challenge that you are looking to solve, please do pop it in the comments. I'm actually going to start tonight with stamp and die storage because back to I think in the fall we did a couple of learning lives on storage, and I know Chris did a really fantastic live on scrap masters and how to organize your scraps and things like that. I know the question that kept coming up was about stamp and die storage. We all have lots of stamps, we all have lots of dies, and probably the biggest challenge is all the dies are different, all the stamps are different, you get different sizes and all that kind of thing. How do you make it all uniform? Now, before I get into things, there are really 2 main ways that you can organize your stamps and dies, and that is either by brand or by theme. And that ultimately comes down to how you craft, how you use your things. For me personally, I organize everything by brand. So I have bins. I'm just going to walk over here and grab a bin here. This is one of 4 bins that I have that is all Lawn Fawn. Lawn Fawn is one of my passion brands. So I sort all my stuff by brand, but you might prefer to sort all your Christmas together and all your birthday together and that kind of thing. Regardless of how you store things, we've got some different solutions to how you can pull that all together. And again, it's not permanent. So if you start out by sorting by brand and that doesn't work for you, then change it up, sort by theme. Or you could also sort by theme within your brand. Told you, organizing is a whole separate hobby that we all love to muck about with and play with. At the end of the day though, for stamp and die storage, there are some basic building blocks that you can use to get everything organized. And everyone's craft room is different, so your shelves and things might be a little bit different. But in order to get started, especially with dies, then your first thing that you are going to want to look at investing in is some magnets. Now, these are our PCW branded magnets. Because I started organizing before we had these, I've got a few different options in play. So for example, with my Lawn Fawn, I've got my Lawn Fawn magnets, And as long as you've got something to kind of keep all your dies organized and together, that way you're not going to lose anything. I'm actually not going to put this in because I'll put it in the wrong spot. These magnets come in a wide variety of sizes. So whether you are choosing hour magnets or lawn fawn magnets or art bin magnets, you're going to choose the size that's right for you. The key thing to remember is dies are heavy. So you don't want to try and squeeze too many things onto your die. I try to keep one magnet per die set, unless they're really small sets that actually work together. I don't think I have an example of that, but you got lots of great sizes. But the companion to this piece is your storage envelope. And we've got a couple of different options that we can talk to you about. We've got the Hero Arts ones. Actually, there's a third size. I've got it on the bottom of the pile here. So these guys here are storage envelopes in the 3 sizes. You might instead choose Avriel. So Avriel also has 3 sizes. This is the extra large. This is the large. This is probably the one I use most frequently. And then there is, I don't know if you can see it. I've got too much on the desk here. There we go. This is the small. With Avriel, there is no medium. The story behind that is they had planned to do a medium and then decided not to go ahead with manufacturing them. But because they had already designated this one large and extra large, they just left it as it is. There are also different tab dividers and pockets for Totally Tiffany, which I will show you a little bit further on when we bring out some of the bags that you can carry them in. So we were smart. I'd like to think we're smart. Anyways, when we designed our magnets, we took a look at all of these different pockets and figured out what was going to fit in each one of them. And I do recommend that you have a variety of sizes in your stash that you can pull and use, because you don't want to use a great big magnet like this for just a little die. You don't want to try and squeeze a big die onto a little magnet like this. And you just want to keep it nice and tidy and, as Goldilocks says, just right. So this one is the small Hero Arts storage pocket. That fits our 3x4, as does the Avriel small. I thought it was all organized here, and now I forget where oh, here they are. So how I've used the small is something like this. So I've got my my little stamp in the front. I've got the die that goes with it on the little magnet so it doesn't get lost. And then what I like to do is keep the packaging if I can, if it's going to fit and look nice. So that way I don't have to guess what this one is called. And I can use that for tracking my different items. I do also have, this was the Hero Arts one. Now we did have, and we may have a few left that had the Hero Arts ones that, oops, they jump, that do come with the magnets, but our little 3x4 does fit nicely in that as well. The other thing that is your best friend when you do all of your organizing is your label maker. So where I haven't been able to keep my packaging, or maybe it didn't come with packaging, if I got it at a garage sale or something, then I can just label it with my label maker and be able to keep things sorted. Any questions so far, Matt, or are we just ticking along here?
We do have one question.
Okay.
Looking for storage. JT Carter is looking for stuff related to Elizabeth Craft stamps and dies, storage envelopes and magnets.
Okay. Great question. Elizabeth Craft, especially the planner dies, are sometimes a little bit of a challenge in that they are quite large. Let me see. Hold on one second. That bin is empty. Do I have any in here? If I've got any of my ECD peeps in the audience, maybe you can chime in and answer that question. No, I don't have any. In terms of the long ones, and Darlene, if you're watching, you can jump in. I suspect that the largest size of magnet will get it pretty close. And then there are longer storage pockets as well. I didn't bring those home, but that is a really great question. The other thing I can show you, and it's not exactly, oh, hang on, I just found my Elizabeth Craft. That's why I couldn't find them in the bin. No. Yes, they're on my lawn fawn magnets. So, all right. Juris, let me come back to that. Let me just finish this and I will clean it off, and then I'll pull out my Elizabeth Craft and show you how I store mine. And again, any of our ECD peeps that are in the audience, please do chime in as well. So small.
Darlene does say that our large magnet.
Yep.
In the Gabrielle extra large
pouch. Okay, so we've got, we showed you small. There is also the medium. So either the 4x6 or the 5x7 will fit. So 4x6 fits the regular storage from Hero. The 5x7 will fit the large Avriel. And if you guys ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, because we can let you know before you buy. And then, as Darlene was saying, we've got it labeled as 8 3/4 by 6. I think on the website it is called 9 by 6. We just made them a little bit smaller so that they would fit either here in the Avriel, or it will fit in the large. No, this is large Hero Arts. And let me show you how. So here, I don't think so. Oh, that's my camera reflecting. Yeah. All right. So here are some Elizabeth Crafts. I don't have that many, so I do buddy them up on the 8.5 by 11 lawn fawn, and I keep mine in a paper handler. This is where I keep a lot of my 8.5 by 11. Yeah, I'm going to pull that off in a second. The other thing you can do, and this one is too big. This is your slide, stash, and store. So if you wanted to, you could always put them in sideways, like so, in a slide, stash, and store on your shelf. This is a 6. I think that's too big. I would probably go with a 4, only because when you want to pull it off your shelf to find your dies, you don't want to have done, weeks and weeks of weight training in order to carry them. All right, so here we go, Juris. This is the largest of our PCW dies, and this one is a page die. Yeah, it fits perfectly.
I'm brilliant.
You are brilliant. Thank you, Darlene, too, for that suggestion. Darlene has a much more extensive selection than I do. Is that going to fit around it? And so on and so forth. And you can fill all those spaces. And again, I would label either your magnet or your storage pouch that you put inside of it. Both Hero Arts and Avriel are a nice heavyweight plastic. This one has little stitching lines down the side. This one does not. I'll just put one in just to show you how that fits. But in all the years that I've been using Avriel, and I've probably been using them since we bought the store, so 7.5 years, the Avriel stands up exceptionally well on holding and carrying, regardless of how deep and how heavy that die set is. Hero Arts has that closure, so I always try with the Hero Arts ones to actually put the back side here, so that when I tuck the little flap underneath, I'm not catching the dies on top of it and have them flip off. With the Avriel, I have seen people who get the little tiny Velcro bits, and they put a little Velcro closure on this. The other thing you can do, and this is usually my cheater's way of doing it is grab your favorite washi tape.
Washi tape to the rescue.
Washi tape is good for a multitude
Don't
of.
just fold inside themselves.
You could fold them inside. I always find my fingers are too fat and I have trouble getting them out again. So at least if I do that, then I can just lift and it keeps it closed and flat. So we've talked about magnets, we've talked about the storage envelopes, and now we've started talking a little bit about, yeah.
Our small magnets fit these stitch miss dies from Spellbinders.
That is a good question. Stitchmas, she specifically said Stitchmas?
Spellbinders.
Okay, I do not have a Stitchmas calendar, so I do not know the answer to that. I know with the Crafty Advent, the dies tend to be tiny. I don't even know what, this is last year, so don't worry, I'm not spoiling this for anybody. There's a little die set here that absolutely could fit on one of our small ones. Again, I'm going to defer to Darlene. Darlene, do you know if this will hold Stitchmas or if the Stitchmas dies are too big? You may want to go up to the 4x6. You know what? Darlene and I make an amazing team. Oh, my little baggie is split here. So this is definitely going to get a magnet. There's a magnet and a pouch.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we've talked about magnets. We've talked about sleeves.
She says they will hold the majority.
So the small, the 3x4 will hold a majority of the Stitchmas, but not necessarily all of them. Again, it's nice to have a selection of items so that you can mix and match and find the one that's right for you. Either that or the other thing you could do is even go up to the largest size and put a couple on there and just label it, 2024 Stitchmas, keep a couple of them together. So a couple different ways that you can handle that. Okay, so I know the next question is going to be, once you've got them all in the envelopes, what do you do with them? So a lot of that will depend on what storage space you're working with. I have calyx units and cubes from IKEA. So that's where I have landed for the most part on these bins from the dollar store. And I don't typically send you to the dollar store, but you know what? I'd rather you spend your money on new dies than on the bins to hold them in. I like these ones because I can fit 2 wide in my calyx unit. The trouble I'm finding right now is that they are taller than halfway, but they are not full way. So there is still a little bit of wasted space in my calyx unit that I'm trying to figure out what to do with. But that's not a tonight problem. With your smaller pouches, you can do great wonders with some of those bins. With the larger ones, don't be afraid to store them on their side. You don't have to store everything up and down. And that's where my slide stash and store has come into play. What are you looking for?
Did we bring more electronic storage bins?
We did not.
They'll hold the dies just like that.
Yes, but you can't get them too wide. Yeah. This is where I use my slide stash and store, whether I am using my full 8.5 by 11 sheets, or I'm going to just momentarily take these out. This one is slide stash and store number 3, and you could put your dies in like so. There we go. So turn them sideways. Depending on your shelving, if you did it this way, you might be able to fit 2 side by side, but I find when I've done that, it gets a little bit messy. So for me, turning them on the side gives me my best option.
What do you do if you don't have dies?
What do you do if I don't have dies?
Do you do that any differently than what you're doing with
The main difference if you do not have dies and you only have stamps is that you don't need the magnet, because the magnet is for the dies. But you can store them in the pockets the same way. You can store them on their side the same way. Again, I'm going to reference my lawn fawn here. This is a set where I just have the stamp. This is a set where I have the stamp and die. So I've got them all together. Ideally, and this is going to be a do as I say, not as I do, especially with things like lawn fawn. If you're going to take the time to organize, go ahead and snip them all apart too. So that way when you go to actually craft, you don't have to do that extra step. Like I said, do as I say, not as I do.
What about a binder? I know there used to be binders that we had that you could organize your stamps and dies.
So, okay, so is that the question? What about a binder?
Yes.
I personally am not a fan of binders for die storage, simply because the weight is going to put a lot of pressure on those binder rings. I know that there are die storage binders out there. We've tried them. For some people, they have been quite successful and enjoy them quite a bit. I personally find that, well, first of all, I've got too many dies. And I did say too many, not so many. But I do find that the weight of the dies are too heavy on the binders, on the binder rings. If you are just storing stamps, those are quite a bit lighter. Then you could, what I would recommend, and I know Darlene's system, is to use the snap binders from Simple Stories or the ones from Doodlebug. There's just one up there.
It's still sealed.
Yep. So you could get a binder like this and get some of their divided pockets, whether it's a 4x6 or the 3x4 divided, or even the full 6x8. But again, I would be very cautious with your weight and only use that for stamps or stencils or things that are lightweight. Okay. I am coming back to stencils, absolutely. All right. So that really, to me, that covers most of how I approach stamp and die storage. I am going to go back to a quote. Oh, look at this. This is how Matt organized that one little die that I had that fell out of the packaging. I've got a couple of mantras that I have learned from Totally Tiffany herself. And this is a great way to think about organizing your supplies. First of all, if you see it, you will use it. And this is another reason why I'm not necessarily a huge fan of binders, because it's going to close everything in and you're going to put it on a shelf and not know what's in there. If you see it, you will use it. And that's why a lot of the Totally Tiffany bags, a lot of the storage options that we offer, whether it's the Hero, whether it's the Avriel, they're clear so that you can see what you're doing, you can see what you're looking for and find them really easily. The second mantra is keep items together that you use together. I'm going to get into that in just a little bit as we round things off. But again, that's where, if you're going to store your stencils, you're going to store all your stencils together. If you're going to store your embossing supplies, you're going to store all your embossing supplies together. And just try and keep things together. The third mantra is one that I've added, and that is your label maker is your best friend. In the creation of my craft room, I have labeled, so where you can't achieve the if you see it, you will use it, make sure you label it, because that way you're not pulling things off every single shelf before you find the right thing. Okay, so I talked about slide stash and store, I talked about die storage, I talked about magnets. What is next on my list? Actually, before I go on, I just showed you the slide stash and store. These are the paper handlers. We don't have this size anymore, but we do have the 12x12 in 5 packs. We have 8x8. So again, depends on how you're storing your dies and how many you have as to which size will work for you. The other thing that I use to hold my large dies is the 8.5 by 11 paper taker. So this I would recommend more if you have some standard dies that you like to take to crops and to classes and that kind of thing. This is another great thing. Again, the big thing to really be careful is the weight. And then last but not least, and this is kind of my segue into buddy bags, this is Katie. So Katie is a tall, she is almost 7 inches wide by 4 inches deep by 9 inches tall buddy bag. She does have that angled edge to it so that you could put large things at the back and small things in the front. So if I had my little small guys, yeah, I'm just getting them in here. So you can pull all your different pockets in and out here and keep everything together. So again, this is a way that you could keep your lawn fawn together or keep your Christmas together. The Katie bag does come with a set of 8 by 5 tab dividers that look like this. And it's got the little tabs across the top. Lawn Fawn has just introduced coloring stencils to go with their stamps and dies. So this is where you could put, you could actually use this as your storage envelope, or you could just use it as a divider that, okay, here's my Christmas and all my coloring stencils are in this little tabbed divider pocket. You can keep them nice and organized. And
you keep the coloring stencils with Lawn Fawn with the stamp and die then?
That's correct. I am a complete set kind of person, and it goes back to that keep the items together that you're going to use together. I keep my stamp, my die, my coloring stencil, all together in the same pouch. See, I could talk about organizing all night, so please bear with me as I grabbed a little sip of water there. If you don't have the Katie bag, you can still use the pouch or the tab dividers. You can use them in your own bin as well.
Will the larger embossing folders fit into that, or are they too big?
Let me find out. This is so. So this is a Spellbinders embossing folder. It is a little bit tall in Katie. However, Katie has 2 big sisters, one of which is Kirsten, which unfortunately we do not have in stock, but we also have Karen, who is kind of the middle child, and it is more of a horizontal style bag, and I'm pretty sure these will fit in that horizontal style bag.
But you don't put
I personally wouldn't put these in a pouch. They're pretty sturdy. You don't need to protect them. Nothing's going to fall out. But again, you could use the tab dividers to say, okay, well, here are my Christmas embossing folders. Here are my plaid embossing folders. You could use them to organize so that they're easier to find.
That's what I was trying to find out.
No, they would not fit in these pouches.
What do you usually use for embossing folders?
Is the question?
Somebody asked, how do you store embossing folders?
Okay, so I'm going to show you how I store my embossing folders, but unfortunately we do not have these in stock right now. I use the 9x6 toolbox. This is a larger bag from Totally Tiffany that has the zipper closure. As we go along though, I'm going to keep these beside and we're going to test them in some of these other bags as well, because we might have a solution that's different than what I am using. Okay. Yep.
Daisy wants to know what label maker you use.
I use,
The brother one.
it's a Brother P-Touch. Yeah. And it gives me different font sizes. I use the smallest font just so that my label doesn't end up this long. But if I were doing it to my eyesight, I probably would choose the larger size. Okay. Yeah, we put it away because your mom was doing some filing. It's really old. but I would say just use what you've got. And you know what? If you have a printer and you can print labels, you can pick up labels at Staples that will stick. If you've got nice handwriting, the only thing I would caution if you are doing handwriting is test it out on your label first to make sure that when you go to press it on, it does not smear the pen that you are using. Okay, in the theme of keep items together that you will use together, some of the other, I'm going to talk about two super popular, super versatile buddy bags. The first is Irene. Irene is this cute little box type bag. It is 7.5, and then it's square on the end, so by 3, well, maybe not quite square, by 3.5. So it's a nice versatile size. At the very basic, you can use it, and I often use this when I'm going to trade shows or if I'm traveling. I put all my basic tools in there. I'll put my scissors, my tweezers, my wire snips, my pokey tool. What else have I put in here? Pencil, eraser, small ruler, any of those kinds of things. It is a fabulous little catch-all, carry-all. Now, the nice thing about Irene is that she has 2 strips of Velcro. So if you're like this one here, where you've got, you want to keep it nice and flush, you're going to put it down on the lower Velcro. If you have some more rounded things, say spools of ribbon, no, I don't have any ribbon in mine, but if you need a little bit of extra flex space, you can do that. I would just be cautious that you are using this for things like ribbon, that if it goes like this, it's not going to all fall out. If I left it like this, all my tools are going to fall out. The other nice thing is there is a nice, oops, see, I just told you, I'm going to have everything fall out. All Totally Tiffany bags have a nice little carry handle. And this is so that you don't have to store things this way. You can also store them this way. And again, I can come back to my slide stash and store. And if you really need to economize, then you can put all your bags in. This way you've got one set of shelf space, as opposed to trying to stack these and have them fall all over each other. This can also then get taken and put into a carry bag, which we will talk about at the end. Other things that Irene is good for. Oh yeah, Nina loves her Irene. Nina loves her bling. So that's what I have in this guy here. I've got enamel dots. I've got little pouches of gems. Keep the things together that you use together. So all of my bling, and I think I've got 3 Irenes that are filled with bling. I will also use Irene for hot foil or transfer foil. I think. Ding, 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 ding. Yep, Sandra, I'm getting to that next. So you finish off, you can put either your Pink and Main foil or your Spellbinders foil in there. And yes, absolutely, Irene, I'm just removing all my Post-it notes, which has all my cheat sheets on here. Irene is a great bag for carrying your square ink pads. So that could be your Distress inks, your Oxide inks. So I've got these here, as well as your Lisa Horton inks. And you've got options. You can either put them this way and you can get 2 across, or you can stack them this way and stack them all the way up to the top. I think when I last worked out, you get approximately the same number regardless of which orientation you choose, but it just gives you options depending on how you like to carry things. Now, while we're here, and this goes for primarily for Totally Tiffany, but really can be for any kind of storage that you're using. Excuse me, very dry. I like to keep the names, actually I'll pull this one over here, inside the bottom of the bag. So so I just cut this off the packaging, I keep it in the bottom of the bag, and then that way I know if I'm trying to get accessories or that kind of thing.
They are very hard to figure out which one it is
once the package is open. Trust me, we have tried. We have guessed and we have tried, and it's only through a lot of trial and error have we been able to figure things out. The last thing I'm going to show you for Irene is if you have any of these ergonomic blending tools, they will also fit in. So you can get a couple of those in there. If you use the pouncers from Picket Fence, those will fit in here. Irene is one of those ones that I don't recommend you get one. I recommend that you get at least 3. And a good thing is we have 3 packs. So,
oh my God, are you going to solo?
You know what? This is not info mode. This is enabler mode. Okay, so Irene. Irene is your friend.
Any idea
how many Lisa Hortonings? I do not know. Well, you know, Lisa and Distress are very similar. So if I I don't know that I would go much higher than this, even though I could. I would just be afraid that one would slide off. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you'd be able to get 12. If I go this way, that's 6, 7, 8, 9. Like I said, maybe you can get 10 this way and 12 the other way, but give or take 10 to 12 within each container. Okay, getting everybody excited. Next up is probably the you know, as I was getting ready for tonight, and as we've been, you know, working in the craft room and that kind of thing, the next one is also quite versatile. I'm just trying to make sure I don't put things away. That one. Okay, I'll put in there. Okay, put my stuff away. Otherwise, I'm just going to add to the chaos in my office. The next one I'm going to share with you is Faline. So Faline is very similar to a 6x6 paper taker. Here is a 5x7 paper taker, just to give you a sense of the difference. The biggest thing about Faline is that she's wider. So most of what I'm going to tell you about Faline would also go for a 6x6 paper taker. It is ideal for, of course, your 6x6 paper pads. And once again, if you add on the 6x6 tab dividers, they are a pocket. So and you know what, now that I've been playing with it, it's like, I may have to have a couple of Falines for myself. Getting there. Yeah. So you've got your 6x6 paper pads. You can keep them all in here. And again, sort it by brand, sort it by theme, whatever you like. And then you can use this little pouch to keep your scraps, because we don't always use the whole bit of the piece. So that way you can keep the things together that you're going to use together. You can also use Faline for larger ephemera packs. So this is a Doodlebug odds and ends die cut set. You can either keep it in the package or once again use one of those tab divider pockets. And then yes, absolutely, your 6x6 stencils fit in here beautifully. Once again, as we were saying earlier, I don't think that I would put the stencil in the pocket necessarily. If you had smaller ones, you might want to put them in the pocket, but the 6x6 ones can pretty much stand on their own. And that way you could have your winter, your Christmas, your random shapes, your plaids, and keep them all organized in here. Other things that will fit in here, your Be Creative tape. So you could use this for tape storage, carrying them back and forth to crops. And if you have a lot of Copics, they do stand up in here too, and you could fill the whole area with your Copics, have your colors number side up so that you can see them easily.
It's also working the 5x7.
Copics will also fit in the 5x7 or the 6x6. That would just be less deep. And here is the 5x7. So once again, the Copics absolutely would fit in here. Trying to get them out of my pocket here. So they would fit. What I've done here is kind of create a little to-go kit. So I've got my mini Misty. I've got my mouse pad that goes in the mini Misty. I've got my sticky mats, and I could also put in my waffle flower grip mat. Everything together that goes together so that when I go to a class, when I go to a crop, or even just crafting in my own space, I don't have to look for all the pieces. They are all kept together. Same thing, it's got the little carry handle, and there you go. And then, like I said, you know, you're gonna start organizing things. So I could put this in here, maybe like this. I could put Faylene in here. See if I can get her to fit. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. Yeah, Faylene's a little bit tight, but I could put a couple of Irenes in here, or I could put Katie in here and really just maximize my space as much as possible. There we go. So your slide stash and store helps you use your vertical space as well as your horizontal space. Now, before we go on to the next set of buddy bags, the next set of problems, I'm going to tell you that when you use your storage items, you don't have to have a permanent solution for them. So this past week when I was in trade show, we were doing a folio album with Joey from Photoplay, and she had the cutting guide all beautifully laid out. So this goes on.
You're back.
All right. Can everybody see me again?
There we go.
Huh?
Give it a second.
There we go.
You're back on YouTube.
So sorry, guys.
Back on Facebook.
Everyone's still with me?
They said they lost us. There's a little bit delayed coming in. So.
Okay. So I'm just going to pause for a second, get some water while you guys all found us again.
Yeah, that was so weird.
All right, are we back? Everybody seeing us okay?
Yeah,
okay. So I was talking about this folio project that we were working on, and I do have my folio made. I just haven't decorated it yet. So what I did is, instead of trying to use paper clips, trying to use Post-it notes, so on and so forth, I have put all the pieces per page in these tab divider pockets. So that way, when I go to actually decorate, I can just say, okay, this one is the front cover. Put the pieces on. This is page 1. And so it's not a permanent use. I'm going to, as soon as I finish the project, it's going to be empty, but at least it's a nice, handy organization system that if I decide I want to go to my girlfriend's cottage and take the project, or maybe I want to go upstairs and watch in front of the TV or create while I'm watching TV. I can just have everything nicely together.
Is there other sizes available of that?
There are a variety of sizes, both horizontal and portrait. You'll have to go to the website. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what we still have in stock. But they're great. They're just a really great tool to just keep all your little bits. It would be the same with lawn fawn. If you do a whole bunch of die cutting for your project, keep everything in here, maybe even keep the stamp set in here temporarily until you finish the project, and keep yourself organized from that standpoint. All right, how are we doing for time? I've been talking your ear off. couple of other quick and easy ones that I'm going to show, and then we'll finish off with how do you take all this with you when you go to crops and go to. They are called tab dividers. And it's usually prefaced with the size. So whether they are 8 by 5 or 5 by 7, I think these ones are 9 by 6. But there is a variety of them. And even if this is all you use them for, it's a great way to keep yourself organized. The 6 by 6 I know we had in the store. That's what I put in Faylene. All right, a couple quick more buddy bags, and I've got a variety of items in each one. So let me start with Gail. Gail is my new friend. I had not tried Gail until today. I do have a very good friend named Gail.
And she bought the Gail.
And she bought the Gail because, of course, her name is Gail. I always wanted them to have a Sheri bag, but alas, not yet. So Gail is nice and long. She's also tall and skinny. And by tall, I actually don't mean that tall. She is, she's about 4 inches tall. I like that she's nice and narrow, so you could keep her on your shelf and you could have 2 or 3 stacked up. And a variety of things will fit inside of Gail. Possibly your mica stains from Tim Holtz. Your Nuvo drops will fit in here. Your distress re-inkers. Now, I do find that this is a little bit big for an oxide re-inker. However, if you had a bunch, you could put them in here. You can keep your tape runners in here. And then the 2 things that I just discovered when I got home is your blending tools and your wax stompers. So lots of great things that will fit in here. Keep the things together that you use together. And 2 more. So this one is Shelley. We have a friend, Shelley.
She's watching.
Shelley, I don't know if you have a Shelley bag, but here's Shelley. If you are looking for something for Father's Day, I will tell you that Shelley also holds golf balls. No, you don't need another thing for golf balls. But Shelley is also perfect for twine, spools of ribbon, and washi tape. You could do your little embossing powders. Your Ranger embossing powders will also fit nicely in here. And again, you have the choice whether you want it on the side or standing up. And then your pastes such as Simon Hurley paste, again, on its side or standing up. Lastly, the little mini ink blender. Oh, that's the foam. You could tuck them in there as well. What I would do is if you were using this one, say for your pinks and you had another one for your blues, maybe put a little sticker on here or even a sticker on the bottom. So that way you grab the right one easily without having to guess. And apparently it's just gonna, there we go. It just didn't snap in. So Shelley is fun for all your little jars and bits and bobs. And the last buddy bag I'm going to share with you. This is also a new friend. This is Sue. We have a Sue on our team. You know what? All these names are all the way around. It's a little bit bigger than Irene. Not as big, not as that much different. It's a little bit taller, just a smidgen longer, and a smidgen deeper. But what's interesting about Sue is that she opens on the short side, not on the long side, like so. And once again, you can keep your Copics in here. This Sue is fantastic for your spritzes, your distress spritzes. Whoops, I don't have enough clearly, but oh, this one holds Stampin' Up! Ink pads as well. So if you are Stampin' Up!
Up to 10 Stampin' Up! Ink pads.
And once again, you could put them, get it on camera that way or horizontally, whichever you prefer. If you are local to us, you are welcome to bring your stuff in and try them out in some of these bags. I will also tell you that if you get a bag for a particular reason and it doesn't fit, I can almost guarantee you can find something else in your craft room that will fit. So don't worry too much. Get a couple and get yourself organized.
We do have one question. I don't know if you want to address it here or not.
Yep.
About whether or not Totally Tiffany is going out of business.
Let me come back to that because I do have a couple more things to share. There are a lot of rumors out there, and we'll come back to that. So, okay, in the spirit of you put things together that you use together, there are also a series of what we call drawer units. No, this one we've shown before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it. But in a drawer unit, you've got your, so there's two sizes. There's the 8.5 by 11, and there is also a 12 by 12 size, which I will come to at the end. The 8.5 by 11 ones, this is the 2 drawers, for example, and it's got literally 2 drawers that pull in and out of the bag. This is just my little, I think this is just my little funnel piece. I'm going to tuck that in the back so you don't have to see it. So I'm using this for my embossing tools. I've got my Swiffer, I've got my powder tools, I've got my tongs so I don't burn my fingers, and I've got my heat guns. In this case, I did not do a label from the label maker, but I did make myself a little tag that says heat embossing tools. So when it's hanging on my shelf or sitting on my shelf, all I have to do is look at the tag and pull it off easily. There is also a 4 drawer. So there's 4 individual compartments. There is also a 6 drawer. These ones have long and skinny. So here I've got embossing powders. You could put, I've got paste in some of them. I've got washi tape in some of them. So if you've got way more washi tape than will fit in a Shelley, for example, you might want to consider the 6 drawer. The other thing to remember is these will all mix and match. So for example, I have this bag here where I've got 3 from the 6 drawer and 2 from the 4 drawer. And that way you can mix and match and get the configurations that you want. Do not be afraid of switching things around and making them work the way you want to. The other thing that's nice is you can either, and I'm going to make some room here.
Do the pouncers fit in any of those bags?
The pouncers would fit in the Irene.
They're probably too deep for these ones.
These ones, I think, yes, they're just a little bit too tall. You wouldn't be able to close them. They would, you could probably put them in the middle, but it would stretch your plastic. So you can either stack them and stand them up this way, or because they are all the same footprint, you can stack them horizontally and laid flat as well. In this footprint, there is one more style. It is a little bit thinner, but it is probably the, my #1 favorite, and that is the H drawer, which is ideal for all of your ink cubes. This is a miscellaneous one, but I have one for my hero inks. I have one for my Lawn Fawn inks. I have one for my distress inks. I have one for my Concord inks. You can never have enough ink.
Oh my God.
And then I have one for my Better Press inks. So the Better Press inks, even though they're not cubes, they will still fit in this drawer system as well. Yep, lots and lots of ink, lots and lots of fun. I will talk to the 12 by 12s next. That you cannot have enough ink. Okay, so the 12 by 12 drawer units. I'm trying to remember, there is a 2 drawer, a 4 drawer. Is there a 6 as well? Well, I tend to lean towards the 2 and the 4. And once again, I have mixed and matched. So this is one of the drawers from the 2 drawer and then 2 of the drawers from the 4 drawer. So I keep my Better Press items together. Remember, keep the things together that you use together. Paper, my chase and my platen, my pickup tool, my extra bits. And the other half of this I have used for my wax seal. So in this one here, I've got all my stomper bits. I've got my lighter, And then over here, I've got my handles and my kettles. So that way, when I go to do wax sealing, when I go to do butter press, I just pull out the case and away I go. The last thing I'm going to share is carrying cases, and I'm not going to be able to get this on the camera. I'll try and take pictures. We've got the lowest bag that fits all of the 12 by 12 or the 8.5 by 11 or the slide stash and store or all of these bits. And all the that's right. Lois is your biggest sister for all your Totally Tiffany friends. But if you want a little splash of something extra, we also have the Doodle Bug totes, which expertly hold all the 8.5 by 11 elements. Whew. Okay, $1 million question. There is news out there, and let me tell you what I know for sure, and that is Crafter's Companion went into administration in the UK. My understanding is that means it's similar to bankruptcy or what's the other word? I can't think of the word. Anyways, Sarah Davies is in the process of buying that back out and working very hands-on in terms of trying to get Crafter's Companion back on its feet. From what we know, for the time being, the US operations are not open to wholesale. So to retailers like us, I am not certain as to whether consumers can still purchase from Crafter's Companion and therefore Totally Tiffany. At this point, we have no definitive information on anything. We have asked everybody that we can ask in terms of what's happening with Tiffany. Are we still going to be able to get product? And unfortunately, everything is a great big question mark right now. So please, let's all just take a moment. Let's join together. Let's cross our fingers. Let's cross our toes. It is still early days in this whole process. So while I know there's a lot of rumors going on out there, there is nothing that I can say definitively because I just don't know. So we're going to hope, we're going to pray, we are going to put our most positive energy forward and just hope that everything is going to work out well, because you guys all love Tiffany the person, as well as Tiffany the product line. We absolutely do as well. I look around my craft room and Tiffany's fingerprints are all over my craft room. And so we are not going to go down without a fight. Not that there's really much fight that we can have, but I promise you, if I can promise you anything and say anything definitively, that when I have information, I will bring it to you guys and let you know the latest. But I hope that, while it's not a definitive answer, that gives you at least some clarity as to what's going on. Not that there's really much clarity in anything. And for now, enjoy the goodies you've got. Grab the goodies that you think you want and think you will love, and we will do our best to just keep this going. So on that happy note, remember, what were my notes? It was, if you see it, you will use it. Keep things together that you use together, and your label maker is your best friend. And so is your favorite organization enabler, Sheri, and the team at the Papercrafters Workshop. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for staying with us all the way to the end. I know this went much longer than we typically do. Hopefully you're taking away at least one organizational tip. And I guess the last tip I'm going to share with you is don't try to do your whole room all at once. Take one step at a time, one bin at a time, one corner of your room at a time. And as my Monday morning coffee quote said, a little plus a little will lead to a lot. And you will get it done. You will get there, and you will find the solutions that work for you. Have a good night, everyone. Take good care.